I'm Ben.
And I'm Sam.
And this is Counterfeit Christianity. What is it today? Wednesday? A week later from our last videos, and we're just sitting here just, I don't know, figuring out what we might talk about. But something recent that happened in Australia is, if you're in Australia, you know, but they had an election, well, referendum, right? For a thing called The Voice. Maybe you can explain what that means, right?
The Voice?
Yeah, what was it?
No one really knows what it was.
Yeah.
They tried to make some change to the Constitution that was really vague, left it open for them to do what they like, which is obviously not something that Australian people want, because our government is sort of treasonous and sells us out and, you know, belittles,
just a corporation.
Belittles and hates its own people. The Australian government's pretty evil.
Yep.
So to give them a blank check on something in the Constitution is not a good idea.
Yeah, and luckily, or not luckily, I don't think it matters too much at all in the long run, but Australians chose to say no, so that was good.
Including a lot of Indigenous people.
I'd say most of them. If
they recognise it's just another farce. It's a way of using Indigenous people as a way to further a different agenda. It's not because they actually care about Indigenous people. It's the same way they wave the rainbow flag. They don't care about LGBT people either. They're a convenient way to push their own agenda and hide among. Someone used this analogy a few years ago, and I caught onto it, and I've kept it ever since. And it's that they march in the crowd of the people they pretend to be supporting and use them as a shield, because then if you try and disagree with anything they say or do, so, oh, you're anti-LGBT, or you're racist, or, you know, insert a pejorative term here to discredit someone who disagrees with you. You know, it's like they do that to advance their agenda. Like the Greens are a perfect example, and I think we've talked about it before. They're supposed to be about the environment, which most people can go, oh, I like the environment, I like trees, and I like, you know, nature.
And things being clean, right? We like that.
But then the Green Party has nothing to do with that. All they talk about is harmful social ideologies and social engineering.
It's got nothing to do with
it's got nothing to do with the environment. They use the environment as a cover to do harmful things to society, and that's what The Voice was.
And that's the same as
using Indigenous people to try and push some other divisive agenda.
It's always this. They just use a different topic to do the exact same thing. So, like with what is it? Environment. What is it? It's not global warming anymore. What do they call it?
Climate change.
Climate change. It's the same thing. It's got nothing to do with.
It's probably due for a name change, because there was acid rain. And then there was the coming ice age that was before that. You can actually, if you look through the media, it's almost like you know when archaeologists dig something up and you can see the sediment at different times. If you go watch old movies or old media, old news clips, and read old articles and stuff, it's almost like digging back through time, because the narrative changes.
So the acid rain, the freezing.
When I was a kid, it was acid rain.
Okay.
And how the acid rain's going to get us, and we need to do X, Y, Z.
I remember global warming a lot.
It's always about creating a fear narrative to drive people to do something.
Whatever it is.
That you want.
To take your eyes off what's actually happening, and depends what you believe to be the truth of the world, to see what's actually happening. Like, we believe they're saying this because they're controlled by the demons, that we believe they're trying to stop us from looking at God. And so when you have fear in your life, whatever that is, it takes your eyes off the true living God. And it draws you into hell, whatever that is. And they just use a different topic for every moment. A couple of years ago, whatever it was the, you know, the COVID. I'll cut out that word because I'll block just for saying COVID. They will not demonetize. We haven't made any money ever, but like stop our video from being seen. But then there was the governmental lockdowns around that, and they just use everything to take your eyes off the humanity and the people around you and God, and draw you into hell. And it's just, no matter what it is, it's always happening. It's like over and over and over and over and over again.
All these distractions all the time, just to draw you away from God, draw you away from your family, draw away from your joy and your happiness.
Well, they did well 2 years ago. They broke up so many families with the lies of COVID.
And it's still going. I've seen so many relationships and lives destroyed just because, people have been broken on the inside. And then all their relationships become broken too. And so it's like, whatever it is, it's just a big farce. And the question we were asking today is, the idea around The Voice. Like, why did they even put it out there? Even they knew they were going to legalism and division, I think, would be the theme. You know, we find that we believe the world is run by puppet humans who have, supernatural beings behind them who, tell them what to do or influence them, and the fallen angels that it talks about in Genesis.
And even if they aren't on their going and actually communing with these guys, with the demons intentionally, they are doing it by whatever group of people they're with, like the Freemasons and stuff like that.
Yeah, or maybe some of them don't even know, or maybe some of them do.
Yeah, or they could just be in Hillsong, and then it's the same thing. These demons they have the same agenda for every situation that they bring up. It's just separation.
Well, legalism and division.
Yep.
So the demons create this different legalism. They create structures and laws to cause death.
Yep.
You know, and God's way of living is very different. It's very much by the heart and treating people the way you want to be treated. And legalism is something that people like to grab onto. I think it's easier for them to comprehend and grab onto than understanding grace and love.
And you can hold other people accountable with that. I mean, that's a big word they like to use in Christian circles. Let's hold each other accountable. But it's like, no, we don't want to do that. We're with Jesus, so we have grace, and we understand why things are happening. We look at the heart, right? That's the ideal Christian, you could say. Even though
God's very open. I guess the situation in our society lately is everything's becoming closed and defined.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, they didn't used to be like, oh, that's the Chinese guy over there. That's the black guy. And that's the Filipino. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. And apparently we were more racist then. Bullshit. Yeah. You know, if someone was in my class at school as a kid, it didn't matter what their skin color was or what their name was or whatever. They were just that person. It wasn't, well, that's the Chinese guy. I remember when I was in grade 5 where this Chinese guy started. He was huge. His name was Jung.
Okay.
He was massive.
Yeah.
God was not he was built.
Yeah.
He was a beast. I loved him. He was great fun.
What school was that?
Nudgee State School.
Okay. Yeah.
When I was a kid. But I can see that the contrast now is division and highlighting. It's, oh, he's Chinese. And for him, it's, I'm Chinese. You know, it's like, why? You're in Australia.
Yeah.
Don't you just want to be a person?
Yeah.
Do we have to divide ourselves and define ourselves and create fault lines? Can't we all just be humans? You know, and I think that the demons enjoy creating that because then they can create more rules and structure around that.
Yeah.
The Voice was trying to create an apartheid within our society where you apparently give one group of people more power than the other. And they wouldn't have actually given that group of people any power. It only would have been more puppets that they can have power.
Yeah.
They use them as an excuse.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a very powerful theme, the division and legalism.
And it doesn't even make any sense. It's like, we were talking about this, who are the true, if there are racists, there certainly are some people who are racist. The true racists are those people who are actually pointing out and saying, oh, you're an Aboriginal, I need to speak for you. Because you can't speak for yourself, you're too dumb.
It's demeaning. Yeah. You're talking down to them going, oh, well, I'm an inner city rich white person, and obviously I know better for you than you do.
Yep.
And I'm going to speak for you because obviously, you're an Aboriginal. You don't know how to speak.
Yeah.
How racist are you? I remember this lady one time, she was talking to me it was on Facebook years ago. And there was some article about how this Aboriginal fella, and P.S., I have Indigenous heritage.
Well, actually, in my family, I found out that I do too. And so it's like,
my grandfather was a member of the Stolen Generation, half-caste, from the Konai tribe of Gippsland in Victoria.
Yeah.
So I'll say what I like. You can call me whatever names you like.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking about my people, my land.
It's so funny because I'd say a high majority of people have Aboriginal blood who have lived in Australia for generations. Most people do. My family changed their name from what we were to this Hamilton because there was an Aboriginal person in the family. Yeah, it's not even our true name.
Oh, that's the same thing that happened to us.
Yeah.
My grandfather's name was Robert James Harrison, but then he had two families. Cheeky man.
Yeah.
Had two wives and sets of kids show up to his funeral who didn't know about each other. Very cheeky man. Because he died when my mum was 3, so I've obviously never met him. But he had one of his last names was James, and the real name was Harrison, I believe. But he called himself Robert James Harrison. So I guess he was James to my grandma and then Harrison to the other lady. Yeah. And my mum still has the name James. It was made up. He just made it up. And her whole family does. All her siblings have the name James too. Yep. So, interesting. Interesting little segue there.
There's so many people in this country who are Aboriginal and they have no idea. And that's the funny part. It's because they try and separate you through that, but in reality, we're all just humans and we're all exactly the same. And if you were born here, this is your land, no matter what colour you are.
And people want to use Indigenous people to make themselves feel and seem righteous. If you go look at the Voice vote, all the people that voted yes for it were all inner city people in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne. People who never see any Indigenous people.
And who have never done anything real in their lives.
People don't live where those people are.
Those people don't do anything real in their lives. They just
never do anything to actually help Indigenous people either. And they don't care about them. All they care about is how it sounds coming out of their mouth. Yeah. So they can sound like they're cultured, or it's so foul. Using my people and their plight to, what, make yourself look good? You piece of garbage?
Yeah.
Like, if you're an inner city white lady with glasses, I support the Aboriginals. I've never met one. You're white. You enslaved the Aboriginals. You took their land. Like, no, I'm not leaving. I'll leave when everyone else leaves. Yeah. Like, look, I shouldn't be here either. I'm a white lady. But look, I'm nice and I can stay. Yeah. But you got to go. I don't care if you're part Indigenous.
Yeah.
Dirty mixed blood. Did I say that out loud? I didn't finish my story before with the Facebook lady. Sorry. I was talking to this lady, right? And on Facebook, and there was a news article put up about an Indigenous guy and how he was like an insurgent against the British 200 years ago. And she was praising him, saying, well, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, yeah, well, at the time, or something about, why can't they do that these days? Or they should be able to do that, but we stopped them. And it's like, I made some smart ass remark like, well, too busy going to Centrelink on a Thursday, so he doesn't need to do that. And then she's like, well, if white people didn't come and invade his country and blah, 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 he wouldn't have to go around stealing things. And I'm just like, what? I didn't say anything about stealing things. And I'm like, excuse me, but I didn't mention anything about stealing things. So it sounds like your actual racism is showing through. Like you're pretending not to be racist, but you are a racist. Yeah. Because you're showing that you think that because someone's Aboriginal, they will steal things. And she's calling me a racist. And I put that out to her and said, you realise that's what you've done? And she quickly tried to delete her comment, but I had taken a screenshot. And then I put the screenshot back into the Facebook and I tagged this lady. And I was like that's the sort of thing we're getting at, where people have this outwardness where they pretend like they're, righteous and they care for people. But then if you look in their heart, that lady was calling anyone who is an Aboriginal a thief. Like, while she was telling me that I'm racist, and I am part Aboriginal. It's like, that's why I get angry at these people. Yeah, they're just scumbags, and they're just, I don't know. Chameleons. They have no integrity and no honour. They have nothing inside of them. They're the skin and bones, the dry leaves that we were talking about. Dry leaves. Yeah, they're absolutely nothing. But it's like, well, I want to sort of touch on that. You talked about it a tiny bit, but that idea of legalism a little bit. And that is pretty much what we're fighting in this, aren't we? Like the legalism in Christianity is disgusting. And then the legalism within the government, the legalism that they try and put all these rules on top of you and tie you down with them. And like the difference between that and God. And then it goes back to the idea of Saul, right? When they chose Saul over God. Back in the Hebrews chose him thousands and thousands of years ago. God's like, I'm looking after you guys. I'm your leader. You don't have any centralized leader. You guys are all happy. You're living as families and communities, and I protect you. Life's great. Yeah. And they're like, no, we want a king. We want the structure everyone else has, and that's your legalism. There's your structure, your hierarchy, your king. His generals and his lieutenants, and then his other servants, and then the people. And then God said to them, you realize with a king, he's going to take your sons and go to war. And do all this other stuff. And they're like, yeah, give us a king, and then inject you with who knows what. Well, I mean, if you fast forward to modern times, Saul would probably be like, now everyone take their injections. Yeah. Now, we did get them from the Philistines, but they promised us that's okay. They're not trying to wipe us out of this land or anything, It's not like half of us are going to drop dead suddenly and then have to blame it on some other bullshit. Yeah. Not like that's happening right now in the world where people just suddenly die all the time. Yeah. Even on air. Particularly young athletes, they're just dropping like flies, but it has nothing to do with the forced injection that was... created in like 3 months instead of like the normal 7 years. Yeah. No sarcasm. Yeah. But it's like that legalism it's just spread over the world now from that small instance in history where the Hebrews chose Satan over him. And we get to that, it's like, just because we're in this shit soup of the world, we can, it's diarrhea mixed with hard shits. It's like pieces of everything. Making me hungry. But just because we're in this place, we can still make that choice again. He's asking us to continuously make it. Well, I guess, you get to make that choice every day. Yeah. Do you choose the structures and the legalism, or you choose me? Yeah. And that's the choice we all have. There's this implication that if you choose him, he sort of insulates and protects you from the rest. To a degree. And also, he insulates you and protects you, and then he also pushes you forward in the ways that he wants you to be. And it's pretty much the conversation we were having for the last few hours when we were off camera. We were just having with Cal as well. It's like, with Men on the Way, it's really exciting. What's next? Like, we don't know what's next, but we have this feeling that something fun is coming our way. We're all helping each other grow all the time, and it's fun. Yeah, and with God, that's what happens. He pushes us forward in his way, or you could be stuck in the legalism and
and just start building a hell for yourself. Like you start it, and you live in the hell that they want you to live in. Like all the rules and regulations of church, of the world, of Satan, of these demons. The demons are legalistic, and that's why they put it on us.
They enjoy the legalism. They like to trap people in it.
Yep.
'Cause that's what a law basically is. It's there to trap someone.
And they say it's for safety because they know that you're afraid.
God talks about the theme in general. It's like the law brings death. I bring life. The Lord brings death. It's a very interesting topic in itself.
Yeah.
But I guess we can see the hands of the demons all over our society with all the legalism, and we had this great constitution, and we sort of still do, but it's been maybe adjusted.
Yeah, well, we don't have it. It doesn't matter because
we had common law, and we still do, but there seems to be this new system that has been made in parallel, probably by the demons.
And it doesn't matter if that's the truth.
That's how they slowly take over society, because you grow up accepting it and accepting, say, the Queensland Police Force, which was created as a corporation. It used to be a peace officer.
Yep.
And we had specifically defined stuff under common law. And then it's like they've created this parallel system and sort of just push the old one off to the side. No one knows about it.
Just like
and
the way
the new one.
They don't talk about Hebrews anymore.
Yes, Hebrews. It's like, hey, Bruce.
Yeah. But it's true, though. They just literally just change the terminology and we just go with their bullshit.
Yeah, at what point did Hebrews become Jews? That's a very interesting conversation in itself as well.
Yeah. But it's the same idea around everything. They just like, oh, you should be afraid of this, so we'll keep you safe with all these rules.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we have God who will do all that. All we have to do is be with him. And we can separate ourselves from this evil. And we're not saying we're not going to live in this world. We're living in it. We're just not of it. We can't do anything. Like talking about common law, like even though that's the truth, it doesn't matter because these evil demons, like the police, the military, the government, all these guys are evil demons. And it's like, I think if you choose to be in that system like a police officer, I know that they probably don't understand it.
Overall, they are controlled, I think, by the same institutions that the demons run.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be good individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, there are good
individuals. I just can't understand somebody who wishes to be good and understands what it, or even, because do you remember Doug Braden, one of our teachers from high school? Well, he was a teacher from high school and he quit teaching and became a police officer. And he was in there for a year and quit after a year because of all the corruption. They're just pure evil, he said. 1 year and he's out.
Yeah, I've heard the police will make stuff up and then like you've got to back up your partner and stuff, even if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But if you get two police officers agreeing, it's basically it's airtight.
Yeah, you can't lose. But like that's the thing. It's like if you choose to live in that.
I think a lot of people try and make sure they record the police these days to avoid that.
Totally. But like I can't understand a good person who would be in that system. I just don't see that. Like
because they don't see it as bad. Like they've grown up thinking it's good.
Because I think this legalism is good.
And there's also a degree, I think, that you want to believe it's good. Like, I would rather grow up and think, oh, yeah, the policeman's my friend. I would rather be like that than to be worried about it and be like... Yeah. And I guess if you have to live in this world and you don't have God, and then you look at the policeman, you have to decide, do I smile and be part of the system and have him be friendly to me, or do I oppose him and be afraid? Mm-hmm. They're probably going to pick the first one every time.
Even though...
They don't have a fallback.
I would choose that too, because otherwise you will be... destroyed by their system because their system is there to kill, and it's like
their system is there to control you, and if you don't do what it says, like our society runs on the point of a gun. Like if you don't pay your taxes, which got forced on us in the 40s, it used to be voluntary.
Free. Yeah, just choose it.
They slowly, it's more legalism, right? They take all our money now. It's basically theft.
It is theft.
It is theft.
Yeah.
Companies used to pay tax. They used to pay for all the hospitals, all the roads, the military, everything else. People kept all the money they earned, all of it. And now these days, the companies pay no tax, we pay all the tax, and everyone struggles to live.
Yep. And everyone thinks, like these people, they think that tax is good. Like they've totally brainwashed
the taxes, that's how we pay for our hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
They used to exist.
Forever.
Now the really rich people are not paying anything for them, and you're paying everything.
Yeah, people are so
We've gone back
dumb.
to the feudal system.
Yeah.
Like we had this great, this great concept, probably given to us by God, where we have more equality and people can earn their own living and we can get away from lords and peasants. But they've slowly twisted the system back to where we're peasants again. It just doesn't seem like it because we're very affluent peasants.
Yeah.
We have nice houses and we can watch Netflix, but really they're controlling everything. They're controlling the money and they're keeping all of it for themselves.
It's exactly the same thing as before, as it always has been.
It's reverted back to the feudal system. We have these rich people now who do what they like and are above the law. And then you have everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the same answer every week, right? What is the answer? Be with God. It's simpler. It's easier. I mean, it's simple. It's very simple, but not easy because you actually, the hard part is changing this because your brain is what stops you from being able to connect with God. If you are more, I love this saying, you can never be a great man if you're more mind than heart. And you cannot connect to God via the heart, via the mind. It is impossible because God is, He speaks to you and is with you via your heart.
And our mind is so small.
Yeah.
It's like running a DOS computer versus like NASA.
Yes.
You know, like
or the new quantum computers that they're working on.
We can't really keep up. But in the heart, I guess, He's made it so we can talk to Him.
Yep. And we can be with Him and He's like absolutely chill with us and wherever you are in your life. It's the system, it's the legalism, it's the church, it's whatever it is that's actually putting this pressure on you. Yeah.
All that draws you away. Whatever draws you away from God is not of God.
And that's pretty much everything in this world. There's the only one thing that isn't that is real vulnerable relationships that you have around you of other people who are with God. Because relationships that you have around you of people who aren't with God mostly are death. It's the same thing. It draws you into death. It's hard. It's hard there's not many real people around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess in that sort of circumstance, you got to be what you can to them without opening yourself up too much. Like, I mean, you don't want to talk to someone with only the purpose of trying to like convince them to. No,
not at all.
You know, like that's what Christians are like. They're like, I got to convert them to my side. It's like, that's so lame, and everyone sees it, and no one has any value for it. They realize you don't value them as a person. You just want to convert them, tick them off, and tell all your Christian friends, and then put them in the corner and you better come to church now.
Yeah. That's the same idea as the voice telling Aboriginals that you know better than they do.
Yeah.
It's the same as Christians. I know better than you. I'm going to tell you how to live. And it's like, it's exactly
useless. They never know who God is.
It's pretty simple, but it's very hard to actually get there because of our minds blocking us from God because we're in this box that the world has made.
People don't understand it either.
No, it's very hard to get there. Like to unindoctrinate ourselves.
I think you have to know someone else is on the way.
Yeah, well, you have to.
It's like, it's an old Christian saying that is a little cringe, but it's caught, not taught.
It's true. Yeah.
You knew what I was going to say before I said it?
Yeah.
Bloody Christians.
Well, I never heard that until you said it to me. But it's true. And like, you can't teach anybody anything except, and like, that's the good thing about being on the way is that God will bring the people He wants you to have. He brings you. Like we were brought for each other, and Cal
and sometimes it is interpersonal. Like, I might not connect with that person, but you do. And so, you know.
Yep. But it's not our job to do anything. It's God's job to do everything. He brings the people He wants.
True. When we start to think it's our job and we think we're taking it off God,
then you think you're God.
That's probably when you're walking in a different direction and God's like, I'm over here.
Yeah.
He'll find me.
Yeah.
I'll keep talking to Him.
Every time He gets stuck, I'll throw a rope down. Come on, you ready? You ready to come back?
I'll throw rocks at Him.
Well, to get your attention.
Hey, look, if I'm about to walk off an abyss and then God hits me in the back of the head with a rock, it's going to be like, ow!
Yeah.
He'd be like, would have been bigger ow down there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, God.
It's always a choice. We can always, like Saul, like the Hebrew people back in the day, we could have chosen God.
I would rather God throw a rock at the back of my head than me fall into a chasm.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and that's what's coming.
Please do.
Yeah.
I'm sure He can kiss it better. It's fine.
Yeah. No, we have to be dragged back sometimes, kicking and screaming. Yeah.
Well, that's how you know God loves you, right?
Yeah. But it's fun. Anyway, that's cool. Like, I really, that word legalism really stuck out to me today. Is like, oh yeah, that is what everything is. Legalism. If it's legalistic, it's shit. Always is.
But if it's from the heart, it's love.
And it can flow. It flows with God. Legalistic is this is the right way. If not, you shit.
Legalism is all breaks and stoppages.
Yeah.
Whereas
don't do this or else.
Having an open heart is just sharing
and being together with God and those awesome people He puts around you.
Wow. Yeah. Right.
See you later. Every time you say you're right, it cracks me up. It's fucking great. Oh, dear. That's cool.